The problem with Girl Scouts, I saw that, I don't know, probably about 20 years ago, 18 years ago. I was a Girl Scout leader for several years. My eldest daughter got a gold award, and my second daughter, the Neo Hermitess, went to silver. And she would have gone to gold. But the whole reason she was going to gold was to get a scholarship to college. And once the college she was applying to changed their scholarship requirements to just whatever her ACT was, there was no reason for her to follow through on the gold. And so she did the gold project anyway. She sent 10 packages to Africa full of soap and vitamins and all sorts of things, but she just didn't go through the board and all that other stuff. Anyway, as a leader, it's immediate. When you got the younger girls, you notice the kind of things they're interested in are the crafts, and there are very cute little things that the Brownie Scout book has them doing, making little pretend fires with food, to get them used to the fire idea, and then later on you can teach them fire building when they're juniors. Just all sorts of cute little craft things to get their patches. And that was a lot of fun, and we did them. And at the end of the year, we would camp. And because brownies are so young, one of the things that Girl Scouts, there's a lot of good things in that program. One of the good things they did for girls of that age was you had an indoor sleepover first to get them used to the idea of being away from mom. And usually I did that at a school. I would ask the school if we could use their cafeteria, and then we would, we'd play games, and we'd have like a fashion show and all sorts of things. The hardest part about Girl Scouting was the leadership. You were required to have a troop leader, a first aider, a cookie mom, and so you had to have at least 3 volunteers. And in this day and age, when women don't want to stay home anymore and be parents, it was really hard to get 3 people to volunteer. I would be the leader, and then to get a first aider who'd had first aid training of some kind to the requirement the Girl Scouts asked for, and then a cookie mom. The cookie mom didn't have to be there the whole time, and I think there was a safety position too. The cookie mom just had to do it during the cookie part of the school year. But what really grated on my nerves was the cookie thing was not the only way to raise money for the troop. And of the cookie money, and I think it was $3 or $3.50 a box, we got 50 cents for the troop. The rest of it went to Girl Scouts. And I was like, shouldn't the girls keep more than that? My girls are not here to support the Girl Scout organization with fundraising. Girl Scout leadership up there at the upper levels should figure that out and sell things. And they did, but they weren't very expansive with it. Like, they sold that only at Girl Scout stores. Well, there really weren't that many stores. They should have been trying to sell them online. They should have been trying to sell them in some commercial venture. And that was one of the feelings I saw. Another one was the fundraising. You had to do calendar sales. Then there was some other sale at the end of the year that I don't even remember, because I was just not into that. That's not why I was doing leadership in a Girl Scout troop. I was doing leadership to teach the girls things. So that kind of made me really mad. And then as the girls got older, and now I've got junior scouts and senior scouts, they do not want to do crafts anymore. I get that, neither did I. So then I wanted to explore with them the different things Girl Scouting offered. Camping, hiking, canoeing, archery, a bunch of different things like that. And so as I got into doing that with them, the paperwork got outrageous. You could only do training for those things at a Girl Scout approved, with a Girl Scout trainer person, at a Girl Scout approved facility. And it was so hard to get a hold of anyone who had like the canoe training and was willing to come out to your location, was anywhere near you, and then to put it with a facility Girl Scout approved was almost impossible. It was ridiculous. And Boy Scouts in the same thing didn't have all those requirements for it. So I had a thing this thick just to do a camp out on a fort, on a military fort. I had that much safety paperwork I had to go through. Now, some of the safety stuff required for Girl Scout activities. I understood where's the nearest hospital, what's the route to get there, you know, who's your first aid person. They went over basic safety with like the girls and the mosquitoes and the ticks and stuff. I get that, but it was the other stuff required. Just, you know, a map of the place and this, that, and the other thing. And I didn't have time. I'm a volunteer. I'm not getting paid for it. Neither are the other moms going on the campouts. And Girl Scouts offered us like absolutely no real help there. So I got really fed up with that after a while, because I knew the Boy Scouts were doing similar activities and didn't have to do nearly the amount of paperwork I did and have nearly the amount of requirements I did. So that was really weighing on me as a leader. Then the parents, sorry parents, but you guys were awful. The parents were, and I'm not saying within my troop there were parents who were like always there for us, and that's how we were able to do some of the stuff we had. But in general, parents are getting lazier and lazier and pushing their kids off. They're putting them in daycare. They're giving them to their grandparents. They're, you know, they just don't want to be bothered with raising their own kids. And in an organization that requires the parents to be heavily involved as volunteers, it just was really difficult. And then something else that I mean, to me was like, that's why you see them slide now down Girl Scouts. No one even wants to have anything to do with them. And now all the girls are going to the Boy Scouts to sign up for Cub Scouting and stuff. Their programming turned from basic life skills, very home ec type life skills and outdoor skills, to save the world. It was ridiculous how much paperwork and propaganda came down the pike from the upper levels of Girl Scouts to save the world. The girls should start a recycling program for their city. The girls should, you know, send clothes internationally to save all the poor people in the world. The girls should, you know, try to feed an entire city with, you know, food donations and all sorts of. Let me tell you, 10-year-olds don't need to be trying to save the world. 10-year-olds need to learn how to keep themselves clean, how to keep themselves safe. They like to go camping. That's what 10-year-olds like to do. They don't want to save the world. They should not have the onus put on them to try to save the world. It's just a ridiculous concept. And having children, you know, in charge of save the world kind of projects is, what are the adults doing? Adults, that's your job. You know, you've got the time, the money, the experience, the wisdom, the knowledge to do a Save the World program. A 6-year-old does not. Anyway, the girls really got tired of that. And so did I. And I avoided it. As a leader, my troop, no, we're not doing that. There was a troop nearby us that had an older leader. I get that. But she also had young leadership. All the parents were young of the girls in her troop, and all they did was do crafts sitting at a table every week. Boring, 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 boring. So it was a variety of things. It was the paperwork needed, it was the propagandizing, it was the fundraising, and it was the lack of support that really just drove me out of it. Once my daughter had gotten her silver, I was done. I wanted nothing else to do with that organization. And they could have used my experience, and they could have used my knowledge. But I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was burnt out. I was done. So done. And so I can understand now, because there was also one other thing that was going on. There was always liberal kind of propaganda going on when the girls were doing their cookies, talking about how Girl Scouts supported abortions and all sorts of liberal stuff. And I asked someone at the upper echelons of Girl Scouts if this was true, and she told me patently no. And every year at cookie time there was somebody putting out fake news about the Girl Scouts, and then eventually it did become true because the leadership at the top levels of Girl Scouting did get more liberal. But we were never, at least when I was in, tied to Planned Parenthood or anything like that. I don't even know anymore, because there were breaking stories at the national level a few years ago, you know, covering scandals like this, and I had nothing to do with it at that time. So those are the reasons I was really just fed up and got tired of it, and I don't blame people. The basic core The old school Girl Scout Basic Corps has wonderful things. If you can get a hold of the books, I think you should and teach your own kids. But if you can't, sorry. I mean, it is from the early 1900s, these programs, Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and you know, they were going to change over 200 years. Something was going to happen. All right. Shalom.